mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.
All right, everybody. So I'm not going to play the video because I don't want to get in any trouble here. But I just want to at least whoops. I just want to at least come back to just pull this up here. That I think, and I want to let me make myself bigger for this because I want to be a little bit provocative. But this is the position on this story that I want to start off by taking. I think Kylian Mbappe, the greatest player in world football currently, and easily in line to become the best ever, should things continue as they are. And I don't mean that, and I mean that literally. I think he is that we're talking about somebody who is that good. But I think that what he's doing here in his current battle with his professional team in Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, is revolutionary. I think he's attempting to take a revolutionary position. I'm going to go ahead and, within the context of as Diallo calls them, the ball chasers and professional sports, I'm going to argue he's taking he's attempting a revolutionary stance in punishment of France and his team. I think in his own way, he is, consciously or not, I don't know enough to know if it's conscious, but as I'm reading what's happening, I am putting my biased frame on it and giving him the benefit of the doubt, despite all the contradictions, and saying this man is making a revolutionary stance and taking a radical revolutionary position vis-a-vis France and PSG. And I'm going to explain that here in just a second to be more clear about what I'm saying. But I wanted to preface that or add before I explain myself by saying that, because I know there's a lot of haters of the sport in our wonderful chat and our audience, unfortunately, because as sports go, it's really among the best, if not the best sport. In terms of what it requires for teamwork, true physical fitness, true skill. Okay. So this is the quick situation. Kylian Mbappe, one of the best players in the world, if not the best player currently in the world, I think he is, and maybe the best player on his way over time to being the best ever, is in a bit of a contract dispute with PSG. And as was reported on this episode of ESPN FC, and the reason why I'm starting here is because Craig Burley. No, first of all, no, I'm sorry, I'm not Craig Burley, but now I've just gone blank on this guy's name, and Frank Leboeuf. Frank Leboeuf here is a former player for France, world-class player for France, World Cup champion, and commentator on ESPN FC, and usually someone I think brings a level head and something of real value to a discussion of football, and I enjoy his perspectives and whatnot. As a Frenchman, he's feeling a little bit salty about the way things are being handled with the team PSG. Of course, Mbappe is the star of the national team. And with France itself. Now, we have to remember that even the French President Macron had gotten involved in Mbappe's contract a year or so ago, saying how important to France and to PSG he is, and they want to support his staying on the team. He signed this huge contract a couple of years ago, or just a year or two ago, where it comes with hundreds of millions of pounds, francs, dollars, whatever. But there was this idea that he was going to stay with the team, that he was going to have input, even to the dismay of many, on the team's hirings and player signings, and he was saying it was him putting his Mbappe flexing his muscles to say, like, I'm the best. You want me? You're paying me all this money. I want to make sure this team is good and going in the right direction. I want some say. A lot of people didn't like that. A lot of people felt the kind of way about it. But one thing that did not come with the signing was either an extension or some sort of signed guarantee that he would not leave PSG on what is called a free transfer, meaning that for him to go to another team, someone would have to pay enormous transfer fees, and then of course pay the remaining salary, or pay the team take over the salary and pay the team the huge transfer fee, which gives the team protection and money should they lose their prize player. It has been known forever that, and it almost happened a couple of years ago, that Kylian Mbappe wanted to go to Real Madrid in Spain, which is his childhood dream team. It's one of the biggest teams in the world. He's always wanted to play there. Many of the greats have played there. It's always been da-da-da-da-da. But he wanted to stay in PSG in France because he wanted to give them their first Champions League victory and bring them all these trophies, which has not occurred. And to bring the French Ligue 1 out of what's been often considered the Farmers League, meaning a lesser league, not as good as the English Premier League or the Spanish La Liga, where Real Madrid is. And all of this was part of the, that's why Macron got involved and was, we want Mbappe to bring France into a new level and PSG to a new level and all of this and do for the good and the glory. But then PSG doesn't sign him beyond this coming year, and currently are telling him, if you don't sign an extension beyond 2023 season, we're going to sit you down for this entire year. He's already been kept off the trip, I think, to Japan or wherever they're playing. The team is saying, we're not going to play you if you're not going to sign up with us. And now there's all this discussion of, and the point being that if at the end of this next year, he can just leave. And Real Madrid is just waiting. And PSG is saying, so you're going to be our best player. We've given you hundreds of millions of dollars, and then you're just going to leave and we get nothing? Now, what the discussion should be is, well, why would you sign that contract? He has every right to go wherever he wants to go. He's given you everything and more than you deserve. He's earned his money. Why shouldn't he be able to go? If you didn't want him to go for free, you should have signed a different contract with him. There's been this discussion of handshake deals and oral agreements. No. Anybody who's followed professional sports long enough knows you can't trust these teams. It would be foolish for any player to trust the team, because as soon as he can't play anymore, they're going to cut him. And as soon as he does what they don't want him to do, they're saying they're going to sit him. So they're willing, apparently, to say to sit him down for an entire year, not play him while they're paying him. I think it comes to like $500,000 a week or some crazy amount. He's making enormous amounts of money, which means those who own the team are making even more. By the way, this is going to dovetail with the story that dovetails with this we're going to get to next, but the team owners of PSG are Qataris. The Qatar Sports Investments Group, who some thought only bought the team a couple of years ago because they knew they were going to host the World Cup last year and that this guy was going to be a major star, as was Messi, who was on the team and now plays in Miami, as our Neymar, who plays in Brazil. So they thought they had they did have the three biggest names in world football, three of the four minus Cristiano Ronaldo. And we're going to own the team that's going to be owning this. It's going to be hosting the World Cup, So the Qatari owners are saying, you're not playing this year if you don't sign this extension. Mbappe saying, apparently I'm ready to go. Now, the reason I got Frank LaBeouf up here is because during this episode last night of ESPN FC, LaBeouf says a number of things, a couple of things in passing that I thought were really interesting. The number one point being that part of what is at issue here for France, the team, Macron, and everybody is, as we discussed last week or so, in terms of the Pan-African response to the uprisings in Paris, that Mbappe had said that he stood in some kind of solidarity in defense of Nahel, the young brother who was killed by the police. And LaBeouf pointed out in this with a little bit of hostility in his voice that's abnormal for him. He's usually a very affable guy. That France is not happy with him, Mbappe, that is. That after Mbappe made those comments, a lot of people in France are kind of feeling like that's, again, the shut up and dribble thing. How dare you? So there's this hostility that has arisen just around those comments. Never mind, he's the best player in the world. Never mind, he's done more than anybody to bring France to a level of respectability in world football in recent history. Never mind, he's already won a World Cup. Never mind, he almost won another World Cup and led one of the most incredible comebacks in a final that in any sport history just this last year, though they came up short in penalty kicks while he made his. So he's done. But because he showed any solidarity with this brother killed by the police, and nothing, as we said, no revolutionary statement, no radical statement, just base solidarity, that was enough to get people upset with him. So this is why I think, and I just want to pull this up here because I just want for the remainder of this to have just a little bit. Again, even if you don't fully appreciate the sport, it's important to just get some idea. You're talking about the fastest man on the field. I don't know if it's been measured. They don't do 40-yard dashes, but he's every bit as fast as a Dion, as whoever's the fastest on a field. He is that. Whatever skill set you're looking for with passing, ball skills, he's that. Okay, he's young. He's already a World Cup winner. He's the baddest man on the planet. It just is that way. All right. So now, what I think he's doing, yes, he wants to go to Real Madrid next year. Yes, he wants to leave PSG. But this willingness, and then there's been discussion even this morning of him signing a $300 million or pound or whatever deal to go to Saudi Arabia. Other people are going to start, which is a league that they're trying to expand. They've signed Ronaldo at the end of his career. They're trying to, recruit and become a more competitive league. He's been offered I think another 300 million there. Then there was, I think there was another offer somewhere else. Of course, there's offers from the English Premier League. There was discussion of going to Arsenal, which would just completely destroy. It would be incredible to see that. But the point being, Mbappe's team is happy to get all these people wanting to bring him in and for the bidding war to expand, and he's happy or apparently willing to take this year to sit and not play. But my point is, I think this is some sort of, in the context of a young, unpolitically educated, non-radical activist superstar, in that context, I think this is him making a radical revolutionary sort of payback. Look at that. Look at that. And if you have any understanding of the game, these moves that he's doing are ridiculous. And at the pace, this is in slow motion, at the pace that this is actually happening in real life, it's ridiculous. And when you hear what teams do to stop him, it's really ridiculous. I mean, and you got to understand, like, it's like, this is watching the rise of Michael Jordan. This is watching the rise of a Pele. We are actually getting this in our lifetime right here. He is going to be better than Messi. He is going to be better than Ronaldo. All that he has to do, knock on wood, is stay healthy and stay focused. He's faster than them already. He's faster than they've ever been. He's won a World Cup sooner than Messi. Ronaldo's never won one. Neymar's never won one. He already has one, and he was essential in those victories. His shooting, his skill, his passing, he's already in going. I mean, so he's already there. Hold on a second. I think we got. Okay, I think we got that. So he's already there. I think he's already there. And now he's telling the world, I'm not going to play for France. I'm not going to play, well, in not necessarily the national team, but in terms of representing France and the French league in PSG, I'm not going to play. If you don't want me to play, I'm not going to play, but I'm not signing a deal. I'm not signing an extension. And it was your fault that you didn't set yourself up to get some money when you know I'm planning to leave. You know I'm not going to stay. You know I want to go to Real Madrid. So that's the stance that I want to put on it. I think what he's doing is saying, and now you want to get mad at me for standing up slightly for Nahel and this issue of police violence, and you want to punish me for having any recognition of my African identity and history? Are you serious? His father is Cameroonian, and his mother is Algerian. You don't think there's a little bit of that Algerian, of that Battle of Algiers in his bloodline? Just a little bit? Just enough for him to say, F France. You don't want to recognize, you want to sit me down and punish me for doing what I have every right to do after giving you everything I've given you? I love it. So I love it. And I hope he never plays for PSG again. And if it were at all possible, I know this is not, it's not, it would be great if he could not somehow, if he could somehow punish the national team. But yeah, anyway, so I just wanted to, I just wanted to, now, as I said, the ownership of Paris Saint-Germain is Qatari. Just a second here. As I said, they are Qatari. So all right, sorry for that interruption. A lot of things happening here. So it's fascinating that I noticed this the other day. Just again using the Qatari ownership of PSG, their hosting of the World Cup as a segue. If folks remember, we hosted a discussion with a Qatari woman last year. I forgot her name. I'll put the link when we post this. I'll put the link. Who was talking about some of what we're going to discuss here in advance of the World Cup. This is a nice follow-up story from Hood Communist the other day, Thursday, July 20th, by Nazar K. Visram, World Cup in Zionist Isolation. You know what, everybody? Give me a quick second here. I got to step away. Quick second. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. In fact, I got you with a give me a quick second. Let me just get this on here real quick. I'll be right back, everybody. Hold on one second. Sorry.
Everybody, wait a minute. Everybody, wait a minute. Well, everybody, wait a minute.
All right, everybody. My bad. Apologies. All right. Let's get back to it here. So as I was saying, we got the Qatari ownership of PSG, the Qatari hosting of the World Cup, this attempt to punish Mbappe in part for his defense of Nahel and those suffering police violence, and in part because he just wants to do what is his right as a player and an individual. who has earned the right to play where he wants to play. But I did see this story the other day in Hood Communists and thought how appropriate, given, again, both the hypocrisy of, I think, Qatar and the Qatari ownership, but then, of course, the World Cup and broader world soccer. And why aren't my notes showing up? There we go. Give me my notes. So if folks remember, there was this issue of Qatar getting the World Cup. I'm sure they got it in every bit of a scandalous way that everybody else gets it. They bribed, they paid, they did all the shady stuff that every other country has done that wants to host the World Cup. And they got the World Cup, and it upset everybody last time, and it changed the scheduling and had them play in the winter, and everybody got all upset. People got, millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. And then there was this attitude that Qatar was sports washing their own backwards policies towards LGBTQ, towards Israel, towards women in Islam, toward whatever, toward workers, the employment record, as this article discusses, and all of this, which of course is true. I believe that entirely. I have no doubt that all of that is true. The issue that I had was that this article, I think, points out, is that to point to them as being hypocritical is itself hypocritical, is itself disingenuous. Just as it would be disingenuous to tell Mbappe he doesn't have any right to play where he wants to play, or to act on his contract, or to speak his mind. It's wildly hypocritical for them to say keep politics out of sports, Mbappe, and just play, while they themselves use sports to sports wash their own politics, both in Qatar, and in France. The attitude that France is somehow some special advanced democracy filled with diversity. Again, its national team last go round only started three non-Africans, and one should not have been there had they selected the correct goalkeeper, and then they likely would have well, maybe not likely, but they may have even done better and won. But Lloris in goal, Hernandez at left back, Griezmann at center forward. I don't think Rabiot started in midfield, but I'll give him that. Maybe Rabiot started. That's 4 non-Africans starters for the French national team. If Pogba had been healthy, Rabiot wouldn't have started. If Conte had been healthy, whoever else, that would have been another starter in the midfield. If Mendy, and I think Mendy just was acquitted on all charges of sexual misconduct and I think rape. He was found not guilty. Had he been available, Hernandez probably wouldn't have even been starting. So anyway, okay, but to wash the fact that they are in fact a racist country that routinely kill Black and African descended people and exploit African labor in country and throughout their former colonies. The idea that all of their team is Black and that they have a Black superhero in Mbappe is supposed to cover all of that, or give some cover to all of that. Anyways, this article says, so again, to blame Qatar for doing something that anyone else is doing is ridiculous. So the World Cup in Zionist isolation, the article is titled, when in 2010, Qatar was awarded the right to host the 2022 World Cup tournament, the Gulf Kingdom became the focus of offensive and disparaging campaign. Qatar was accused of mistreating migrant workers engaged to build World Cup projects. And it was true, they were. I mean, it would be absurd to deny that was the case. The campaign against Qatar as a host nation involved Britain, Germany, Denmark, Netherlands, Israel, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia, which again is just a list of again, just a rogues gallery, right? Demonstrations took place outside the Qatari embassy in London with the slogan "Qatar, stop funding terrorism." They were reportedly run by Sussex Friends of Israel and the Israeli Forum Task Force, joined by UK lawyers for Israel and Stand With Us. Sussex Friends of Israel is linked to the Israeli Zionist faction known as Over the Rainbow. SW is a right-wing pro-Israel lobby group working closely with the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. According to the former Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister, Israel uses it to amplify our power for leverage. Until 2009, Qatar and Israel had diplomatic relations, but after 22 days of unrelenting aerial attacks and intensive ground incursions when Israel killed some 1,400 Palestinians, majority of them civilians, including women and children, Qatar severed diplomatic ties with Israel. This explains the protests against Qatar's World Cup that were depicted as defending LGBTQ and workers' rights. Actually, it was not just a matter of human rights, but a geopolitical and foreign policy strategy. And again, from whether it's the woke imperium or whatever else, this is sort of the one of the points that I've wanted to highlight about all of this. It's not that LGBTQ people don't deserve rights. It's that the way that their rights are often promoted and encouraged is in some disingenuous imperialism washing way. So the idea that anybody cared about this community, only when in the context of a Qatari World Cup is just, it's, or to promote LGBTQ rights while you're colonizing and exploiting and ravaging is just ridiculous. But what I thought was interesting about this article is, again, the universality of the ignorance of whites, the universality of the ignorance of imperialism. Because the crux of the story here is that Israeli journalists thinking that they were going to go to this World Cup and cover the World Cup and get to go into this Arab country with Israeli passports and be welcomed as being seen as a sign of building bridges, while being totally confused and unaware of the feelings of the masses of the people in the Arab world about Israel is laughable. And that's what ultimately this story gets into. Special flights were organized for Israeli fans and journalists to fly to Doha for the World Cup. They were in festive mood, bringing with them a cake decorated with Qatari and Israeli flags. The intention was to cover the World Cup and befriend the Arab public, hoping that the Abraham Accords that Israel signed with Arab regimes, the issue of Palestine would have disappeared from the Arab consciousness. Little did they know that while Israel had acquired the recognition of some Arab rulers, it has never been accepted by the Arab masses. And so the Israeli fans and reporters said once in Qatar, they were surprised to find less than welcoming atmosphere among Arab fans, and with Palestinian flags and banners and evidence everywhere. And I didn't realize this as much as the World Cup that I watched. I didn't catch as much as this article shows how often, for instance, when Morocco would win or score a goal, the Moroccans would fly a Palestinian flag. And same with Saudi Arabia. In terms of the fans, that is. They were surprised at the level of hostility that they encountered in Qatar. A Palestinian journalist retorted by saying, "I'm surprised that they are surprised, since what they are doing daily in Palestine is all over the world media, except in Israel maybe. But every action has a reaction, Israel and the United States. Everywhere else is probably well aware of it. Many in the audiences that we deal with here are aware of it. But if you are American or Israel mainstream news consumer, and that's the extent of you might be confused. Just as here, we hear all the time, white folks popping up. Why are black people so upset? I didn't realize that they were so upset. So yeah, you can sign deals in the Abraham Accords with a few of our leaders, and you can make handshakes with a few of our celebrities, but that doesn't mean the masses of the people are necessarily confused. Although I feel like the Arab community on this issue is by and large less confused than many of us in the United States are about many other things. But, you know, this form of propaganda has not been successful. Israel supports reporter Tal Shorer said, quote, "I was so excited to come in with an Israeli passport thinking it was going to be something positive. It's sad. It's unpleasant. People were cursing and threatening us." Well, you know, Arab fans were also incensed by the double standards shown by FIFA and UEFA. The European, what is it? The European, the Union of European Football Association, something like that. While Ukraine and its NATO allies got the football bodies to suspend Russia from competing in their tournaments over Russian invasion, Palestinian efforts to get the same treatment for Israel over its invasion and occupation of Palestinian territories failed. Oh, no, that's different. That's different. That's just different. That's just different. What do you...
It's wrong, bro. It's wrong, bro. It's wrong, bro.
It's different. It's wrong. That comparison is wrong. You got people asking,
what is we doing?
When it comes to making that comparison. You can't make that comparison. Stop it. It's totally different. Russians are invaders. Israelis are heroes, settlers. They are Florida. Our colonization of Palestine has given them special skills and capabilities they wouldn't have had we not settled and colonized land that they were not really here using in the first place. But I like this line here, the historic victory of, yet the irony is that the Qatar World Cup will be remembered in a way for the historic victory of Palestine over Israel. Khaled Abu Zuri, a Gazan sports commentator, said Palestine had won without having sent either a team or a single player to Qatar or playing a single game. The general perception was that Palestine was the 33rd country in the World Cup. So right on. I love it. Yeah, it's DeSantis like. We colonized you as a favor, brought you necessary skills. I love the Moroccan team. Let the world know the difference between their leaders, normalizing with Israel and the feelings of the people. That's right. That's right. That's right. So anyway, you know, I'm going to continue to hold out hope and shoot for, you know, hope for the best and praise Mbappe doing great work, making maybe an unconscious revolutionary stance against France, and a reminder to the world that not every one of us is fully colonized all the way around, despite our broader colonial situation. You know, we got this some independence of thought still left out there. I'm giving it to him. Just in the way that response, that Frank LaBeouf response. And again, if you know LaBeouf at all, if you watch him, he's usually the funny, affable, lighthearted, easygoing guy. But he seemed a little bit hurt.